another episode of Stu and the Nunn, an online radio show and podcast focused on national security, policy, politics, and selfless service. We're here to give you an honest opinion, a different perspective, and hopefully a few laughs. We do this by not only interviewing guests, but also sharing our own perspectives and asking you, the listener, to interact with us on our chat room, via our Facebook page, and of course, on Twitter. Keep it funky.
Well, there you have it. The always funky and sexy intro by my co-host that's not here tonight. The Stu is working hard, paying those bills, making those dollars to keep the family fed. But tonight I'll be flying solo, but don't worry about it because my wings are always level. And tonight, have we got a treat for you? We are talking with Navy veteran Joe Collins, born and raised in the heart of California, South Central, and I'm super excited for him to be here for a lot of reasons because he's got some ties to not only California but to the greatest state in the nation, the Republic of Texas. So we're going to talk to him about that and among other things. But without further ado, Joe Collins, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, how are you?
I can't complain, man. I'm living the dream. I live in Central Texas. The weather's a modest 90-some degrees here, like the 2nd of September. It's ridiculous. I feel like I'm melting, but it's all good. But we're super excited to have you here, and for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, it is always an honor and a pleasure to talk with a fellow veteran. It's always an honor and a pleasure to take the time to hear about someone's experience in service and then what they've used that as a springboard launching platform for. And it's, if you've spent more than 2 years in the military and you didn't start working in a form of leadership, you're probably doing it wrong. You spent quite a bit of time in the military. So why don't we start with that? Why don't you tell our audience exactly what you did in the military, in the Navy as aviation machinist, and all the different kind of jobs. Because you kind of had some cool jobs.
I've done a lot. So, I spent 13 years in the United States Navy. And my initial job when I went was an aviation machinist mate. And that's a jet engine mechanic. And so I've worked on the F-18 Super Hornets. Well, it used to be the Navy's premier fighter jet. Now we have the F-35 taking off. I've worked on 6 Mercury, which is equivalent to a Boeing 737. I've worked on the MH-60 Hawk helicopter. I did a boots on the ground tour in Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2008. I actually recruited in Texas. I recruited in Fort Worth.
The 2008. Well, hey, where were you at? I might have been on the ground in Iraq in 2008.
So we were at base was
Okay.
so that's where we spent the majority of our time. We did reconnaissance
Awesome.
with our airplane. So we helped them relay those back and forth.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I at that moment in time, I was serving an organization out of the state of California, and man, the ISR in the sky was definitely a friend of mine. Definitely a friend of mine. That's awesome. You recruited in Texas. Now, your mom did a very bold and audacious move when you were young, and made a big sacrifice and brought you to Texas. And I imagine that's just like not making light, not being sarcastic or facetious, but like you didn't grow up in the best of locations.
I was right outside of Dallas. It was more rural than anything. That's where I learned how to hunt. That's where I learned how to gun. That's where I learned how to ride horses. And that's where I actually got involved in the sport. So, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best. It was new to me. It was a culture shock coming from big city hustle and bustle, in the inner city, and in the neighborhoods, there was a lot of gang activity, poverty, no jobs, a lot of cops, stuff like that.
Now, did you play Texas football?
I tried, but I was little, and I had a pretty bad attitude, so I didn't really make it to the team.
I
And
love it.
but I played soccer though. I played soccer and ran track. I was good at that.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, multi-sport, triple
Yeah,
threat.
exactly.
The hey, so let's kind of fast forward. Uh, you got out of the military, out of the Navy, and you went back to South Central LA. And you've
Yeah,
been
yeah.
you've been on the ground there, surveying, purveying, analyzing, leading, doing what you can to like change the scenario that you were brought up in. Um, Now that has taken you to running for Congress. That's a bold statement. You're a young man, so you got a lot of things going for you. You have like a lot of passion. You got some great military experience. You were a man of that location, and you're handsome. Who doesn't like that on social media? That's going to help, right? It's going to help in the social polls. But like, talk me through or walk our audience through what led you to make the decision to run for one of the greatest offices ever created in the history of global politics, American Congress.
So growing up in the best. As I got older, I started to know why was because I have opportunity. I think that someone would work hard to provide opportunity to the younger generation, even now, but that's not happening. Have taxes that are eating up the wealth of the people who live in the city. Have no opportunity. Have high crime in certain areas of the city. There's a lot of poverty, homelessness is high, and it's like who's going to represent. Then you look at the representation, Maxine Waters. Um, Now I don't really like to talk trash about her because she's a pioneer. She paved the way for women to get involved, black women to get involved in politics. It's just she makes terrible decisions when it comes to taking care of anybody other than herself and family. And so I think people ever expect to leg up, if they ever expect type of opportunities back to the city, especially for our youth, then I'm gonna have to do about it. Running for Congress is the best things that you can in order to fix any situation in the United States in homelessness and poverty in our district. So that's why I'm running.
So I really I appreciate and commend the sentiment that you led with there. Uh, I I really appreciate and respect the fact that you look at the office the way you do, and I really appreciate how you commented on her accomplishments, who you're running against, her accomplishments, and the value of them to America as a whole. She absolutely is a pioneer. Not only was she female, she's a woman of color. She like you know she came in at a time that it was most necessary for that voice to be heard.
That's
But
true.
I will say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And, you know, that's not my district. That I don't live there. But, I've lived in another area of California, a little bit further north, that had another female member. And, again, there seems to become over time a disconnect, and that
Yeah.
disconnect is most unfortunate because like the house is this precious thing that America has, and as an immigrant and someone that's living in this country because I believe in what is here. I'm a big fan of the House, and the
Yeah,
House is a direct representation of the people, and it's supposed to be,
it's
and
supposed to.
that's why we have it. And like I might not always agree with certain people, especially some of the freshman class of this last election. But man, am I happy that they're there? Am I happy that the people of their district are being represented? Absolutely. Do I want to see someone that's sole goal is to retain office? No. I want someone whose goal is to be impassioned and to represent and to lead their community and to enrich their community. And I would say that despite your counterparts uh, past and start and foundation in the realm and the sphere, the arena, as Teddy Roosevelt liked to call it, uh, there seems to be a disconnect, and
There is.
there also seems to be like, hey, I want to like get reelected, and the purpose of serving in Congress isn't to get reelected. The purpose of serving in Congress is to serve the people, and
Exactly.
so I really appreciate your sentiment there. Now, you talked about homelessness. I live in the outskirts of a small little establishment in Texas called Austin, and
Okay.
we're starting to experience a small little homelessness situation. And the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, yesterday it decided that he wanted to step into the fray and kind of like encourage the mayor of Austin to like do something about it, or he was going to assist in doing something about it. California, not just Los Angeles, California as a whole has a tremendous homeless population,
Yeah.
and I get that, and I'm not passing judgment on that. I I have a definite compassion for the veteran population that's part of that, and I appreciate how if you spend the majority of your adult life living in austere conditions, it might feel more comfortable and more secure to continue to live in such a way versus what the majority of society would consider secure. That obviously climate plays a big
That's
role in it.
huh?
Obviously, climate plays a big role in it. Like no one wants to camp in the Arctic for more than 2 days.
There's
But
no jobs out
yeah,
there.
what are your thoughts on? So I guess opportunity. You mentioned that in your opening statement there. What opportunities do you think need to be in place? Like what is something that you think that would engage or enterprise or inspire enterprise? And anytime enterprise is inspired, opportunity follows.
Mhm. Well, what we have to do is we have to be able to provide quality jobs. We have to utilize the opportunity zones that the president signed into law in our district. Because one of the problems that we have is the cost of living and taxes. So to offset that increased cost of living and taxes, you have to have quality jobs so people can be able to live, they can be able to pay rent, or pay a mortgage and get off the street. A lot of people they live in their cars, and they're living on the streets not because they have some type of mental illness. Not saying that mental illness is not a problem, but housing out here is ridiculous. It's too expensive, and the jobs are not paying enough. So we need to bring quality jobs back to South Los Angeles, and we also have to work with um, the businesses that are already here to create some type of training pipeline so we can create a career path for people who do not have a college education to get trained under that pipeline, get certified, and be able to have a career in in a really good companies that are already in South Los Angeles. So that's one way that we can combat the homeless situation. And another is just we have to start rebuilding the mental health facilities, the type that people cannot check themselves out just because of their age. There's a lot of mental illness that are in the streets right now, drug addictions as well. And so we have to have these mental health facilities so we can get these people treated and then get them reacclimated back into society, get them working at these jobs that we're going to be bringing, and get them back to uh, full capable status.
the uh, the cost of living in California is tremendous. I, I will not hide the fact that that was definitely on the list of inspirations for me to come back to Texas.
Yeah,
Living in California is it's expensive, and I remember getting that BAH check and thinking to myself like, holy smokes, like look how big my BAH is going to be, and then trying to find a place that I wasn't embarrassed to let my dad come visit in, and
exactly.
so it's like that's a real issue, and like there's a lot of different contributing factors to that, but the biggest thing is like you gotta promote enterprise. Now, the lack of college education, that it always breaks my heart when people say that, because I look at the opportunity for tradesmen, tradeswomen, tradespersons, whatever moniker you want to attach to it. Trades out there can make a ton more money than someone that just has a 4-year degree. Like I see these kids, getting themselves in debt, doing these different things, get that piece of paper, and then they get out, and the prospects aren't that good, and they find themselves working low jobs. But if they just went and got their welding ticket, their machinist ticket, their partsman ticket, heavy equipment operator ticket, plumber's ticket, like you know, with low investment, an electrician can just get paid. And
See, they stopped providing those high school, and so now having high schools, you actually gotta find somewhere where they do training. And how you gonna pay for something if you don't have money because you have already?
yeah,
And so I think that putting those type of courses back into the high school, making it high schools and junior college students to be able to obtain those certifications, I mean that's necessary. I can attest that college is not for everybody. I mean, when I
no,
got out of high school, I was going to junior college, working at Walmart, and I was like, this college is not for me. And so I joined the Navy.
no. I absolutely am loving what you're saying. I really wish, I have a a daughter at the house that's in high school right now, and we're talking about all the different classes and electives. She's an athlete, so she has to like limit what her electives are, because athletics obviously takes up a hot minute, and she's very academically focused as because she wants to be a collegiate student athlete. And one of the things that we were talking about are like, I remember shop class. I remember a lot of different trade focused classes, and they're just not there anymore.
Yeah,
Like funding's been cut. They're not a priority, and like you said, there isn't the opportunity. There isn't that one. There isn't the introduction,
yeah,
and there's like a very cultural pressure on getting into college, and I've with my eldest, I I'm guilty of this. I was like, you better go to college or check out Taco Bell. you know? you know? And now I'm like, saying, hey, disregard what I said. Like, if there's something out there, a skill, a trade that you want to do, go do it. The the technical industry, the tech industry, information technology industry, you don't have to go to college for that.
no,
Like,
not even.
you can go get these certifications, right from the manufacturers or right from the software providers, Oracle, Microsoft. A lot of these companies, you can go right to them, get the certifications, the A+ and all that stuff, and get after it, and make good money. But that's not being promoted, and that's not being promoted in the secondary education system. Like, the college counselors are all like, well, you need to, get into college. And if you can't get into college, you need to go to a JC or a community college. Like, they're not promoting that. And it's heartbreaking because, like one of the big arguments on like a national political scale, we'll say, is people are like, well, people are coming here so that they can take these jobs. Well, yeah, because they're great jobs. Like a welder's getting paid, at least 40 bucks an hour. Who doesn't want to get paid 40 bucks an hour? This guy. Yeah. You're like, are you making 40 bucks an hour right now? You're like,
For me,
yeah, you're like, you want to.
no.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm retired, man. I'm not making no dollars an hour.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're like, that's a great way. That's a man or a woman should be proud of like the toils of their hands. Like we learn about that in, like the Bible. You should be able to like be proud of what you get out and are able to do. The
Let me tell you what my issue I have with college. My biggest issue I have with college is that people are always prone to go to college and get an education and all this stuff. And it's like, boy, this sounds wonderful. So they pump your head in with all this. You're gonna make $200,000, $300,000 a year, get a great life, retire. But they never talk about, okay, so what's next? Now that I graduated college, what am I gonna do? How do I go get that $2,000 a year job? And then they realize that, oh crap, I have $200,000 or $300,000 worth of debt.
yeah
And
yeah
then it's like, oh, I need experience now. I did 4, 6 years in college, get my bachelor's and master's degree. Now I need some type of experience because I don't have any experience at all. And then they end up working at McDonald's.
and
And,
that's
and that,
you know now like pridefully, you and I both serve this great nation, and when you go and accomplish something great, you have a noble purpose, and then you find yourself in McDonald's, which I'm not disrespecting that location. I've definitely spent money there. Like it diminishes, and it hurts, and like now you have self-worth issues. Now you feel like you're a failure, like, and that this is a huge issue, especially in the transitioning uh, of the military. A lot of guys and gals are getting out of the military, much like yourself, much like me, where you're like, hey, I was a very successful guy here. I did, accomplish some great things. And now this is what opportunities are presented in front of me. And it was a hard pill to swallow. Like I remember like thinking to myself, like, I might have to like go work in this fast food restaurant. And and I remember sitting there and having a conversation with myself, like, I served this country in war multiple years. How am I going to go from that to serving a hamburger? And it was hard. It was hard, but the reality was, it's like that's where I was at. Like, like I was able, that someone offered me an opportunity that I didn't have to do that. But I remember that inner monologue. I remember that moment where I was like, man, I got babies. They need dinner. Kids are funny. Like they expect to be fed a couple times a day. It's crazy. Like, they want food.
that transition period, getting out of the military, is like one of the hardest for people because, you know, you're going to have all these opportunities, which is true, you do, but you have to pass medical screening on your way out
Yeah.
or when you get out. And sometimes it takes a long time. Like for me, mine took like almost 4 months before I even got a retirement. You know? And I didn't have anywhere to go. I was home. I couldn't tell people like, hey, I need somewhere to stay. I'm going through this transition. I can't get a job yet, and the others. So it's hard for most veterans to say, hey, I need help because everybody's like, what, you need help? You're in the military and you did so much great things. Now you're coming out and you need help.
Yeah.
So it kind of messes with your pride. And for me, I went to Maxine Waters' office because I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm like, okay, so she's gonna help me. She's a Congress member, so I remember knocking on her door. Actually, before I filled out internships, I took her flowers. I could not get one response out of Maxine Waters for her to help me.
Really?
And I'm going through this. I can imagine what every other veteran who was homeless on the street, who gave up, went through.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that's not fair. We have tons of homeless veterans out here, and the VA process for some VA centers is slow
Yeah.
because VA facilities are undermanned, they're understaffed, and some people are getting incorrect diagnosis. Some people have PTSD, don't want to say anything. Some people have other types of mental illnesses. People have chronic illnesses. People have physical illnesses that sometimes they too prideful to say anything about, or
Yeah.
sometimes they're misdiagnosed and they're not getting the proper treatment. And these are people who are living on our streets. These are our veterans. These are our service members who fought for this country. And unfortunately for Californians, meanwhile, we have a California government who will pass a bill to give medical insurance to illegal immigrants and give housing to illegal immigrants before they even take care of our own veterans on the streets. And to me, that's a problem. I think that's a problem for anybody who live in California. And if it's not, it should be. It should be a big problem. You know.
Hey, so first and foremost, I kind of want to rewind for a hot second. Use the term fair, and I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think that the term that you need to use there is fair, because fair's a comparison. Anytime the word fair is used, it's in comparison to something. I think the proper vernacular, the proper word there is right. It's not right that we have people that have sacrificed and have given for this country, served and lost, be it time, be it appendage, be it mental faculty. It's not right. That's part. We owe that, and that's part of the agreement. When you raise your hand, you sign your name, and you swear the oath of enlistment. There's a bargain there. There's a contract, a verbal contract, and a written contract between that human, that body, and the government. And so, like, man, you're right. It sucks, but I don't think fair is the right word. I think it's not right. I think it's a failure. And
Well, I was gonna say yes, but
yeah, no, you can. I mean, you can say this is the internet. You can cuss. The like,
I'm trying to.
no, you're professional, man. You're running for Congress. Don't be saying crazy shit. the
And I had that problem when I first got out of the military too. It was like,
I
you
bet.
know, words, and they were like, "Jesus Christ, you curse a lot." I'm like, "Yeah," and they, had to listen to myself, record myself talking. I'm like, "Well,
I like a
uh,
not non-related story. Uh, I was subpoenaed yesterday, and I had to
okay,
appear in court as a witness in a case. And the whole time on the stand in my mind, I was like, I hope I don't say like, they asked me a question. I'm like, did I just drop an f bomb in there? Like I hope I sounded intelligent because my dad raised me to like not use those words, and then I got in the infantry, and I like now it's a steady diet of those words, and I gotta work on that. But no, I definitely I can appreciate like making sure that you clean it up. Hey, I want to circle back real fast because I had a very similar experience, and my last stint with the United States military, I was based out of the Bay Area, and did a did a tour 2007, 2008, and then into 2009, and I you probably don't know this, but I'm an immigrant. I came from this horrible third world nation to the north called Canada, and like I've been trying to secure myself. I served an entire career in the army, and I reached out to a member of Congress, hypothetically, not hypothetically at all, factually. She might be the seated, Speaker of the House, because that was the district that I fell under. And I also asked for help. I was looking for help, to speed along uh, legislatively what was already promised to me in terms of citizenship, and and I didn't fit whatever uh, talking point or whatever that she was kind of going for at the time, and it was heartbreaking. Like, because as a military member, you don't work on party lines. There's a commander in chief. There's a chain of command, and you're apolitical. You're the execution arm. You're not the thought process. And it's the members of the House, as members of the Senate that make decisions, and in concert, with the executive branch, we are the implementation of that. And so it was really heartbreaking for me, and really, I'll be honest with you, kind of changed how I looked at the political system of America. And the reason it changed how I looked at the political system was because now, like, my rose colored glasses, like, had a little crack in them. That, I thought, you know, there's this altruistic, moment where you're like, well, you belong in my district and I sent you there. I'm going to support you. And I same thing. Couldn't get a call. Couldn't get a meeting. Uh, like, I didn't even get the response from a staff member. And it was kind of like, and then I got, like a month and a half later, like this email asking for money because it was, re-election time, and I was kind of like, you're asking me for, like 25, a minimum of $25, but you really asking me for 500, and like you won't even like answer a question, and I did this, like because you voted for it, and it's like it was really heartbreaking, and it really affected how I looked at the system because I was like, okay, the incumbency is an issue. Serving one or two terms, doing good things is good, but when you leave relevance, and maybe that's not the right word, when you lose connection, when you no longer represent the people that have put you there, like, it's time to go. Like, Congress isn't a career; it's an honor, in my opinion. And I like, how are you doing? Because you are like, I'm looking at the shirt you're wearing right now. I'm listening to you talk about the excitement of, spending some time in the outskirts of the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex, learning to shoot guns. You served in the Navy. You've gone out, you've seen the world, you put your boots on the ground in a war zone. You've learned some wonderful lessons in leadership. You've talked people into joining our armed forces as a recruiter. How are you doing in terms of like people responding to you in your district? Like, how do you feel like you're doing against the power of incumbency? And I got to tell you, like, you may not disrespect her, but I got to tell you, that lady says some stuff that is like, part of me just wants to like walk up and slap the staffer that handed her that piece of paper. Said, like, I know you researched, somebody researched this, right?
I never said I respect this is done for women in politics. Her herself as a person, she's a terrible person. Never said she's not terrible. I don't like what she do. I don't like the fact that she does absolutely nothing for the district. I mean, she's a millionaire. And I tell people this all the time. How do you feel about
She
that?
lives in South Central as a millionaire.
She doesn't live in South Central. She lives in she lives where movie stars live at.
Yeah.
She's not down here to grind with us. But I asked her, they're like, oh no, Maxine Waters is good. We love her. And I'm like, what's how she done for you? Can't think of nothing. And well, how many bedrooms in the house? Yeah, and, where I live on, 52nd and Vermont, and I come back to the house. I have bars on the window. But okay, well, Maxine Waters has an 8-bedroom house up ahead park with the stars, and are down here living with your whole family in a 2-bedroom house. How does it make And so people get sick of that. They get sick of that. But there's a lot of people who like her. A lot of people like Maxine Waters in the district. But I'll tell you, unlike any other, I'm not running like Maxine Waters. I don't like her because personal experiences. Just like everybody like it, don't like whatever we have. I'm running based off the things I'm doing already. So our feedback is very positive. We're working on getting different type of educational programs into our high school. We're working on getting entrepreneurship and NASA programs in high school at this level that I'm at right now. We're working on talking with businesses to create that pipeline I talked about earlier. Get people from the inner city certified to work at these tech jobs, the aerospace jobs that we already have in the district. We also working with other companies come into the district for quality jobs, and we also doing a lot. And we're also connecting small businesses with resources, getting small business connected with opportunities for our small businesses. Small businesses lifeblood. Also working with them throughout the county so we can start rebuilding that relationship between law enforcement. I mean a positive relationship. I mean like a negative relationship, yeah, or the connotation of a negative relationship that people see on TV. I mean, I want a positive relationship because as we build, that police force is going to have to be active in that. Going to need the quality jobs, so we have our people living with the high cost of living, actually living pretty good with the high cost of living. But I want to add value to the people living in the district. I want to add value everybody who I come across. So whenever I campaign, I'm not campaigning on empty promises like a lot of candidates. I'm campaigning based on things that we're doing, that we're working on day and night for the people in the district, and they appreciate it and they like it. Hey, we have a lot of no money. We have a lot of candidates that don't raise money. We have a lot of candidates that are, I don't even know why we have candidates running. Some of them, man, we even have who are in office right now who are idiots because they know absolutely nothing about sacrifice. They know absolutely nothing about service to the country. They've never had any type of financial management, which is why they just waste money all the time, or they have no idea about quality of wealth or wealth management. They have no idea about jobs or. And these are the type of people, the squad that we have in Congress right now. They have absolutely no experience about life. They have absolutely no clue about financial ability. And these are the people that we need to stop voting in office. To vote people in office, know what service to this country is, who has financial literacy, who is actually adding value, and not barking about the value that they're going to bring once they get in office.
Yeah, no, and we didn't. It's on our website where we talk about some of your background. But for those of you that are just listening, one of the things Joe's done is, when he was within the Navy, in addition, like he spent time and got certified as a financial consultant, as a financial management guy, and that's such a So when he talks about fiscal responsibility and stewardship, these aren't just words that he like picked up on Google as buzzwords. These are actually things that he's intimately familiar with and and has implemented professionally. I want to circle back though, because man, you said something that really made my heart smile a little bit. And you talked about police. You talked about how important that community relationship with the police is, and you talked about how it needs to be a positive one. And like I imagine, and obviously Hollywood, hearsay, like I grew up in the mountains of northern Canada. Our police force were Mounties. Like everyone was like respected them, and everyone was like, they're gonna get their man, so don't do anything stupid because they're gonna catch you. And I might have got caught by them, So like like I'm very pro law and order, but I can appreciate, and I remember as a kid, going through high school and entering the United States, and seeing the riots in LA on the news, and seeing a lot of this urban rage, and then in the past 4 or 5 years, 6 years, seeing some of these movements such as Black Lives Matter, and some of these polarizing cases come to light. Like I remember Rodney King. I remember watching that, and then I remember the riots afterwards when those guys were acquitted. And
Yeah.
and I agreed. I remember I think I was 18 or 19 years old, just going like, yeah, those dudes beat the shit out of that guy, and yeah, I get why they're mad. Like,
Maxine was actually aggravated that caused those riots. He had a hand in that.
yeah, did that she fueled it, right?
Yeah.
She said some like incitive things, inflammatory things that kind of got the people like primed up, right?
Kind of like what she's doing right now. Everybody do credit. Damn, like it's possible.
Yeah, I think
That can change.
this gun weighs as amount as 10 boxes. They shoot 50 caliber bullets. Like again, I at least want to slap that staffer in the face and be like, dude, man, you're doing your boss a disservice. Like
Yeah.
she's the gift that keeps on giving when it comes to horrible sound bites. But
We need jobs in our.
yeah.
Like, come on, get off the TV and jobs and quality. So live, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, I think it's important that there's a mutually beneficial relationship in the community between citizens
Mm.
and those that serve them. And I it's heartbreaking to me when I see um, people that are willing to do whatever it takes to get to you in your time of need, uh, being hailed as enemies, because I know it's not always true. But I also know that there's some shitheads out there, like we watched on the video of Rodney King that we talked about earlier, that kind of deserve getting what they got. And
Yeah,
but I got to tell you, like one thing that's like hot in the news right now, especially here in the great Republic of Texas, is like we had a police officer, sentenced to 10 years for walking into the wrong apartment and shooting a man in his home, murdering him. And man, I got to tell you, like these video clips of Mr. Bonham's brother, like forgiving that lady and giving her a hug in the courtroom, like that's how a nation heals. Now, like it takes a huge human being. It takes a huge human being to be able to do that. I'm going through a scenario right now that doesn't involve a human; it involves my dog, and I've like thought some of the most sadistic things I could ever think in terms of retaliation or vengeance. And
yeah, it's
like,
heartbreaking.
and I saw that video yesterday, that young man like on the stand talking about how he like, you killed my brother, but like I forgive you. What you really need to do is like give your life, to a greater power, and do good things from here out. And I hope you don't rot there. I hope you like do okay. And
Yeah,
like we need more of that. We need, you know, people in our community partnering, holding hands, locking arms with those that serve our community, because that's how you heal. And like I'm not, like I said, I'm not a subject matter expert on anything South Central. And again, the lens at which I understand that, comes from Cheech and Chong, bad Sean Penn movies, and Boys in the Hood. Like my understanding is absolutely skewed and third party. But like what Singleton was trying to do was trying to keep it real. And like a lot of the music that I listened to as a young man, shaped the culture that I was around, and a lot of that came out of there. And man, we have to like find a way to like work together. And I really appreciate how you said that, positive relationships, because there's shitheads in everywhere. Absolutely,
oh yeah, that's true.
But like I really appreciate how you said that, because like we don't need to make enemies of ourselves. And I feel like that seems to be something that's going on. Like we seem to be trying to make enemies within our own communities. And
Yeah.
politically, I know that's kind of the cool thing to do, but like if you're truly a leader, that's not how you're successful. That's not how you lead your people. Like, how are you going to represent your constituency if you're saying half of them are shitheads? Like,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. Like, you have to represent 100% of your constituents, even if they didn't vote for you. Like, like you have to look out for their best interest. And I really appreciate that. Hey, man, we're getting low on time. Um, let's talk about how people can learn more about Joe Collins for Congress. JoeCollinsforCongress.com. Follow at,
Yeah.
donate at. These are cues. This is where you say. This is where you.
Yeah. So my website, Collins for Congress. Go in there, donate, send me a letter. I read all the mail that I get, 100%. Everybody donate $1, $1. She doesn't matter which. She has tons of money. My Twitter is Joe Collins third. My um, Instagram and Facebook is Collins Congress 4, and that's Collins 4 FOR Congress 43. So that's how you get a hold. And don't troll me. Sometimes I do respond. I have a
I love it.
social media. I get some trolls on there sometimes. They
Yeah.
say nothing, but I read all of that stuff. But yeah, don't troll me. Follow me. We'll have a good time. I appreciate you allowing me to be on your show again. Thank you.
Hey, so like, here you go, man. You got a little bit of time. Like, is there anything you want to like get off your chest? Is there anything you want to share? Is there any words that you want to speak out to your community?
Yeah.
Like, go ahead, man. Like, from one brother to another, man. Like, I support anyone that's trying to serve their community, and so like let's do it, man. You got an opportunity. Let's go.
All right. This is what I tell people, and I tell people all the time. I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative. I'm a walk away. I walked away from a Democratic Party before walk away was even a thing. And I support the President of the United States, and I say that proudly. But when I mean I support the President of the United States, I mean I support him. I supported every single president because I was in the military. And when you support someone, you have to understand there are things that the person does that you like, and there are things that the person does that you don't like. But regardless of who you support and whether you like our president or not, I need everyone to understand that I'm going to work with whoever I have to work with to bring value to the people in my community and to help increase the quality of life for the people in my community. And I employ every single person. Start adding value to lives, right? We have to
Good
stop the
word.
hate, let's stop the division, and we have to come together because you know what? Aside from all the policies, as a people in our communities, we're hurting. We need to start rebuilding. We need to work with people who are willing to help us rebuild, regardless of their party preference.
The it's not about party, man. Like it's about what's right for your community. And you know obviously we get labeled as party members, or we get labeled as followers of a certain tribe, and it's really become very tribal. uh, but it's really about doing what's right for our people, and doing the best that we can for the people around us and our community around us. And Joe, man, I gotta tell you, Mr. Collins, I you know I I'm excited that you are a bright young face and vision to your community. Uh, I like how you are playing the game, and when I say playing the game, you're not, you're taking it to the point. You're talking about enterprise. You're talking about opportunity. You're talking about homelessness. You're talking about education. You're talking about the long term impact of making sure that people have a plan to move forward in their lives and not live 5 seconds at a time. I love how you served your community. Sorry, I loved how you served your nation, and you took the lessons that you learned there to continue to serve your community. I imagine, like, it is not easy. going against the powers of incumbency, especially like name recognition, especially someone that was a pioneer in her field. But man, yeah, whoever your social media guy is or gal is, man, like don't hesitate to like use those like sound bites, because what we need is thoughtful, compassionate, intelligent leaders to like
Exactly.
take us to the next place. And what we don't need is someone pandering uh, and saying just ridiculous shit. You know, like some of the things, some of the sound bites, like are just crazy. Absolute, like I said, I would just want to slap the stupidity out of the staffer's mouth that let that 3x5 card pass to her hand. Like, like
Look,
you're
I'm telling you,
not
not too
serving your
much.
community by like telling people falsehoods. You're not serving your community by like trying to like make yourself famous. Uh, there's nothing wrong with living in a 2 bedroom house at 52nd in Vermont. If you're being a good human being, you're raising your kids right, and you're entering productive members of society, God bless you. Thank you for doing that. You know, you don't have to like come up with some crazy shit. You know what I mean? And so, like, I appreciate you, man, and you're welcome back anytime. I look forward to having you on after you win,
Definitely,
because
definitely.
you think I'm like opinionated. Wait till you meet my co-host. This Stu is
Oh
like,
yeah,
Stu would be out here wearing a MAGA hat or CAGA hat now, and like just getting buck wild with you, talking about quoting you and Candace Owens. The
we got a.
Yeah,
Oh, you know what else? I got a big American flag too.
hey,
I have a huge American flag. I did an event. I did a fundraiser for a veteran who has cancer in his entire body, and we didn't collect money from the event, but we raised money for everything. But they presented me with a flag that they hung on a wall. I mean, it's massive. It's like one of the flags you hang up on a flagpole. I folded it up. I bought a suitcase just to put it in. I love that flag.
hey, let me ask you a real quick question. I know we're running short on time, but and you just said something, and I got a comment in one of our chat rooms, and so I want to ask you this, like, how does it make you feel that the American flag is being portrayed? If you're a flag waving American, you're now the enemy of the state. Like there's this
Yeah,
implication. There's this sinister covert movement to make
yeah.
someone that appreciates the flag, the history, or the flag of the United States and what it stands for. And I got to tell you, like, that thing was on my shoulder in both directions. And like I'm like proud of that. I like
Yeah.
My daughter said the Pledge of Allegiance the other day on her school announcements, and I cried
Uh-huh.
because I got
Uh-huh.
emotional about what that actually means. So you're
Yeah.
talking about this flag and buying a suitcase. How does it make you feel, and how do you like communicate that with the people you're going to represent? Because like this is this is our guide on. This is our symbol, and it's not like how I feel like it's being hijacked. I feel like it's being railroaded and perverted in a this weird obscure way, but it's supposed to be like what brings everyone together.
Well, I'll tell you this. I love the flag. I serve this country, but I also believe the Constitution. The Constitution says that the people have a right to freedom of expression
Yeah.
and freedom of speech. And so they have the right to feel however they want to feel about the flag, regardless of how stupid it is. You know, just because someone feels some type of way doesn't mean that they have a valid opinion. Some people have ignorant feelings. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. But I love my flag. I love my country.
Mm.
Uh, so what people think don't bother me. You don't like the flag? Cool. Take it over there. Don't come at me with it.
Yeah. No, you know, I don't envy you, my man, because I know that you're probably a unicorn in your forest. But
It's
like,
hard being a black Republican that supports the president who served in the military in the inner city. I tell you that. So, but I also know this: it ain't worse than being in Iraq. So, I mean, you've been there, so
yeah.
you know.
But
I can
here,
compare things to Iraq.
but here's what I want to share with you. Um, like it shouldn't matter if we're Republican or Democrat, and it shouldn't matter if we're black or white.
That's
If
true.
we're Americans and we're trying to do right for our country, that should lead the conversation. And I really hope and pray and wish for your victory, because you know, unfortunately, I just can't weather many more Maxine water storms. I can't take any more, like, we should put him in solitary confinement. I just can't handle that. No, like, these are, as Joe Rogan would say, these are strange times. Um,
Yeah.
but hey, man, I appreciate you. I'm a big fan, and I'm most of all grateful that you took the opportunity to serve your country, serve your community, and that's, as our producer was saying earlier, the military is a wonderful way to find an education, and I'm proud to know that you are a guy that did that, but you didn't waste it. You didn't waste it. In what I mean by wasting it is by seeking out, personal wealth. You took it so that you could go back and lead, and God bless you for that. Thank you for that. Um, JoeCollinsForCongress.com, and go throw him some bones, and we will have you back when you beat her, and we'll have a celebration. We'll have a celebration.
Good. Thank you.
But Joe, thanks for coming out. Everybody, will be back next week, same time, same bad channel. If you're watching us on the socials, on all the socials, we'll be here live at this time. If not, you can always catch on replay, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the great channels that you check us out on. Again, check out our man, JoeCollinsForCongress.com. Check out Joe. He is an American that is served and is serving and wants to better his community. That is the great American dream. That's why people come to the shining hill, the shining city on the hill, and hopefully he will be more than the mayor of it. Hopefully he'll be the representative in the republic of democracy. That's right, because that's what we live in. We look forward to you being there, sitting at the 43rd California Congressional District, and you will have better sound bites. Because if you don't, I will slap your staffer and hand him a better 3x5 card.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Tune in next week. Stu will be back, and we will have a great show for you. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. Goodbye, everybody.